everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Michelle, and I've got a couple of books that I'm going to share with you, and I'm actually going to start using one of the books because it's one that you can paint into, and I think it's a perfect one for people that are just starting out and who want to get to know their paints and get to use the brushes, the strokes, that kind of thing. So let me just change my view. We've got our two books here. I'm going to start with this one, which is the Green Sketching Handbook by Dr. Ali Foxon, a field guide for joy spotters. And it says relax, unwind and reconnect with nature. And it is a slightly different book. This is where I've got to, so I haven't actually finished the whole book myself yet. But it gives you a little bit of a background about the author and how her life kind of changed from doing a very sort of office-based scientific job. She was a scientific editor to when she moved to Switzerland after living previously here in East Anglia, where I'm from. And she basically started taking up sketching very hesitantly and wobbly, and yeah, she says her sketches were hesitant, wobbly and incomplete, but she didn't mind. It was more about the process of the sketching and becoming utterly absorbed and consequently deeply relaxed. So there's a little bit about how she came up with this whole idea of green sketching. Now, obviously, there's lots of different types of sketching out there. We've got urban sketching and various things, which it does go into in the book here. But what she wanted to do was it was more about being in nature and observing, and not the outcome of the sketch, if you like. In fact, further on in the book, she calls them doodles. It's better to call them doodles. They're not to be shown to anybody else, but they are very much just different from a photograph, because we will have interacted in a much more kinesthetic way with our surroundings. So in chapter one, it's all about, well, part one is all about motivation. Chapter one is your unique relationship with nature. And she asks the question, what springs to mind when you hear the word nature? I actually did this exercise, and then she asks you what your nature story is, and I did that exercise as well, and they were really quite nice exercises to do. But because of the way that we are living and we're indoors so much and we're scrolling on our phones and tablets, and yeah, this book is really all about reconnecting with nature, opening our eyes. And the chapter two, with the benefits of sketching nature, you can see I've underlined some things because I think they might even be useful for me to let some of my clients know. So yeah, research suggests we actually pay less attention and remember our experiences less when we take a photo of them. So basically, the solution is surprisingly simple. We pick up a pencil and we sketch what we see. It's called observational sketching, as opposed to sketching from our memory or imagination. And when you sketch something from observation, there's a common sequence of steps, a process. And basically she talks about that process, it being like an incredible dance between the hand, the eyes and the mind, and every mark you make represents an additional observation. Even the roughest, speediest of sketches involves multiple observations, and that's why sketching is such a powerful observational tool. And she gives 10 reasons to love sketching, trying to motivate us here. So, sketching nature helps you see more. Sketching nature helps you remember. Sketching nature helps you slow down. Sketching nature helps you focus and be mindful. It lifts your spirits. It helps you savor the benefits of looking at nature. It strengthens your relationship with nature, and it's grounding. It helps you to become creative and connect with yourself. So she says, I think it's amazing that one simple activity can offer the combined and proven benefits of fresh air, creativity, mindfulness, and nature connection. So why on earth isn't it more popular? And this is why: the fears and doubts that are stopping you. So there's a lovely bit here, some of the things that might be stopping you: that I can't draw, that I haven't got time excuse, I'm not into nature. These barriers aren't real. A sketch doesn't have to look good, it doesn't need to take long. We don't need to be a nature enthusiast, and there's more than one way to sketch a leaf. So he talks about traditional drawing and plein air sketching. So you've got nature journaling, urban sketching, mindful drawing, field sketching, botanical drawing. You know, and then this is her latest idea that she's putting forward for us on green sketching. And apparently in the back there are links to you know, other types of sketching if that's what you're interested in. So she talks about why we might do green sketching, what it exactly is, and you know, our expectations and worries that we might have. And I like the green sketching manifesto. We sketch nature wherever we can. Our doodles help us see, enjoy, and appreciate nature's beauty with fresh eyes. We sketch in our own way for our own well-being. We celebrate the experience of sketching and how it makes us feel, not the quality of our sketches. We inspire and encourage others to put down their phones and pick up a pencil. We cherish and protect our beautiful planet. We share our sketching adventures online, #green sketching, and we reconnect with nature one doodle at a time. Now, we share our sketching adventures online, not the sketches themselves. It's not about how wonderful your sketch came out. This is just maybe you came across something and you noticed something that you'd never noticed about it before. So that's what the online thing is for. And then she goes on to give some guidance. See your world with fresh eyes. And yeah, there's, you know, things to remember. Most things are either a cone or a sphere or a cylinder. There's various marks that we can make. So like a tree is made up of a cylinder, that mark, plus some hatching. So she tries to break some things down. And she even suggests that if you're really too scared to put your pencil to the paper, then you can do some air sketching, or just sketch with your eyes. She talks about doing some blind sketching, some ghost sketching, and then tips for learning to see your world with fresh eyes. And it goes on, basically. And I have to say, you know, some of the ideas of just putting sort of 9 little squares and doing 9 little thumbnails while you're out, you know, 5 minutes for each kind of thing. Yeah, there's some really good ideas, and one about developing your eye for color. I just thought it went about things in a slightly different way. Um, and this isn't a how to sketch book by any means at all. Um, it's about finding your way and making it fun and doing it often, and just you know, think twice before sharing your doodles online. Yes, there's a little kind of warning there. But it, as I said, I haven't quite finished it yet. Um, but it's made me think again. I can't remember where I got to now. Never mind, we'll pop it in there. Um, about, you know, doing my sketches outside, but I think I probably do most of this in any case, because when I do my sketches outside, I'm not, I don't always expect them to be something. But when I look at them, they will bring back that whole memory of being there, and what it smelt like, and what I could see, what I could hear, um, maybe what, you know, who I was with, whether it was sunny or dull, or um, much more than a photograph would ever do. So, yeah, it's not about being able to draw. The Green Sketching Handbook is a brilliant place to start, I think, to get anyone, you know, putting pencil to paper. So there we go. Green Sketching Handbook by Dr. Ali Foxon. The next book is called A Field Guide to Colour, a watercolour workbook. We'll notice it says workbook here, by Lisa Solomon. And you can see we've got an introduction, what is colour, paints, brushes and other materials, and then we've got all these exercises and what she calls colour meditations, and I'm going to do the first one of those, which is called dots. Depending on how long it takes, I might do the colour wheel. So we've got a little introduction where she says she's always been fascinated by colour, spending hours looking through Pantone books for the absolute right baby blue. She's an artist and a teacher now. She's spent decades studying colour. She's read countless books on colour theory. The exercises that follow in the book are meant to offer you a substantial introduction to colour theory through fun and playful experiments. So I think colour theory is one of those things that eludes us in the beginning. So I think that this book is probably going to be great if you are starting out, or you've been going for a little while, and your colours still aren't working out, or your colour mixes still aren't working out. And you know, I love that there's a nice bit here about what is colour, and how you know, colour brings up all sorts of emotions and things in us. Then we've got a bit about terms. So she goes into what a hue is, what an additive colour is, what a subtractive colour is, warm and cool colours, light and darkness, or tints and shades, and value. And then a little bit about colour systems. So most of us will know the red, green and blue. And then we also have the cyan, magenta, yellow and black, which was brought about for printing purposes. Then apparently there are hex colours and they're used for web colours. And then obviously we have the Pantone matching system, which is a commercial colour system. that's become world famous. So, moving on, paints, brushes, and other materials. So she starts with paint, and for the projects in this book, she recommends using watercolor or gouache, either in a tube or a pan. She says you could use bottled inks and other things, but actually the watercolor or gouache is probably going to work better. Now, funnily enough, she recommends getting the biggest set of colours you can afford. And this is, what is this? This is 36 set of, Kuretake Gansai Tambi Kuretake paints. So if you've got the set of 36, I don't think I have. I think I've only got the 18. She does say they offer it in different sizes. Even the 12 colour set would be a lovely way to start. She was also is talking about Winsor and Newton set of 24 pans and how she added to that. But she says if you're starting from scratch and want to build your own set, this is what she recommends on here, which I won't go into. But that's her kind of recommendation. Yeah, I don't know that even I've got quinacridone. Right, okay. Yeah, we will see how we go, because I don't think I've got a setup like that. I was planning on using my little core set here that's got 12 colours in, so I'll see how I go with that one. She says, although this book provides space to try all the exercises, she hopes that we'll want to do them again. This paper does feel quite nice, and it has got a little bit of texture to it, so hopefully we'll be all right working within this. So she talks about paper, she talks about brushes, paper towels or a blocked cloth, a palette, and then a note on cost. She says you get what you pay for, basically. And I think she's probably right. So what is she asking us to do first? I'm going to do, well, actually, no, let's have a bit of more of a peek through the book. So you get to do this little dots exercise first, then making a colour wheel. And she does go into primaries, secondaries and tertiaries. And then there's chances to start mixing before you do your own palette. And then you paint some lines and then make a personal colour wheel. So that one is your traditional one, wherever that one is, there. So that would be our red, green and blue. But you can then make your own personal colour wheel. I might do that one instead, actually, we'll see. But yeah, mixing up colours with 90% and 10%, doing some triangles, doing some hexagons here, so triatic split complementaries, and then some random ones for different colour schemes. So then it gives you space to do all of your own here. Monochromatic, analogous, next to each other on the colour wheel, complementary. So lots of space to practice doing all of these things. Charting your paint box. So, you know, if you're starting out and you've got a set, then this shows you how you can chart everything out, so as you know what you've got and how it's all going to mix and what colours you're going to get. Then we've got abstract shapes, and she talks about saturation. So here we've got, you know, values basically, and doing some half circles. So once you've learned how to do something, you then do a little something, so as you can practice with those colours basically. So I think you're getting the gist there. You can see it really is packed full of, wait, there's more than one kind of white. But all the while there is space to practice what she's teaching you. So I think that that's, you know, wet into wet even. Paint chip matching exercise. See that they're all rather good techniques to maybe take on board. Observe and document colours in your world. And then there's all these exercises at the back here as well. So, yeah, this is good. It's where, you know, sometimes when we put a colour next to another colour, it changes how that colour looks. So, there. I'm just going to, for fun now, and for those of you that want to continue watching, and because I'm very busy with clients today and I really just want to at least do some painting, so I'm going to be doing this dots exercise. Isn't this fun? And quite meditative. And I think I'm going to go with complementary. So yeah, here we go. Let's do yellow and purple. Ooh, that's a really dark purple. These core paints are really pigmented. But you can see how those colours really pop because they're complementary. Right, what should we do next? Let's do some colours that might be analogous and next to each other on the colour wheel. Just for fun, because that's what I've been talking about. What is this? This is ultramarine. I'll have that one going across. And then we'll have the phthalo blue green shade. Oh, it's so close in colour. And we'll just let that join up. So you can see, I won't go any further. That paper, I mean, this is, I don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but this paper is really rather thick. Right, I'm going to dry that and go to the colour wheel next. I'll finish that off later. Okay, so let's say that this is my palette then, and I've gone to the page where it's do your own colour wheel, not the one where you need specific colours. And you'll notice that there's a tint and a shade and a hue. The hue is the colour of the paint. The tint is when we add white, and the shade is when we add black. And she suggests lamp black and titanium white. However, I think what I'm going to do is, I really don't like adding black. I might ignore the shade bit, to be fair. Right, so the yellow that I've got, and I think I'm gonna write what I'm using. So this is cadmium yellow primrose, apparently. And let's put core palette on here. Okay. So let's start with our hue. Which is basically our yellow at kind of full strength. And then, to be honest, you don't really need to use white with watercolour. We can just water it down to get our lighter shade. Right, then we need our red. Now, I'm not going to use red, I'm going to use quinacridone magenta. So I'm going more for a magenta cyan kind of palette. So, where are we here? Is that the one? No, that's Pyrrole Red. Wrong one. Here we go. Let's go with so I'm using quinacridone magenta. Oh, and we need that watered down. We don't need to add white to watercolour. There we go. And for my blue, I'm going to go with the phthalo blue. There's my blue. Here you are. And then we'll just water you down. So, phthalo blue green shade. So, now let's mix my magenta with my yellow. And that will give me my orange. And we'll just water you down. Oh, that's run in, but never mind. Now I need to add a bit more yellow to it at one end. And that will give me my yellow orange, and then we'll water that one down. There we go. And on the other end, I need to add a bit more magenta to it, although that's probably too much. Okay, let's go with that. And then water that one down. Okay. Now I need to mix my blue and my magenta, so let's get a bit more in there. Maybe a bit more magenta. Okay. There is our purple. Watered down. And now I need to split that and add a bit more magenta. So we'll add a bit more magenta this side. And water that down. And on the other side, we need to add a bit more of the blue. Okay, and that's that one watered down. Right, now what do we need to do? So we need to do yellow. A bit more yellow. And blue. And that's going to give me my green. And now that I've got my green, I need to add more yellow to it on one end. Be careful not to let these run in. And on the other end, more blue. We probably need a bit more blue. Oh, and that one's running. And there's our tint. Now, in the middle, we need to add all three together. So we need magenta, phthalo blue, yellow. Ooh. Well, maybe we need a bit more. Yeah, there we go. So the neutral is this kind of brown colour with my chosen 3 colours of cyan, magenta and yellow. So let me just bring this up for you, and hopefully you can see. And I think that's a really good exercise. And if you wanted to, because you've got another one over here, you could actually photocopy this and use it again and again. So I think that that's rather nice. But look at all those glorious colours that we get with just those three colours from my core palette. Rather nice. And yeah, maybe if I added a bit more, and I get that gorgeous grey colour. So maybe I'll, there we go, pop that there. So you can, obviously keep adding to these. I mean, it's quite interesting, just with these colours. I mean, those greens are a little bit garish for me. So use the colour opposite on the colour wheel. That's a lovely colour too. And we can then really tone some of those, tone them down. Right. Well, obviously there's loads and loads of things to play with in this book. I'm going to get back to doing my little dots before I have to see my client, my first client this morning. So, yeah, that is a field guide to colour, a watercolour workbook by Lisa Solomon that I think, if you're wanting to play, pick a palette and stick with it the whole way through, and I think that you'll learn a lot about your particular palette and all the things and colour mixes and colours that go together. You'll know your palette inside out. So there we go. I hope that was interesting today. A couple of little books, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.